Here I'm going to show you how easy it is to replace a leaking TRV on a pressurised system. I barely had to edit this video at all. The time it took me from the minute I got into the property to the time I left was probably about 15 minutes to do the actual job. First of all, I made sure the heating and hot water was off, and then I isolate the flow and returns on the boiler. This is a system boiler, so it only has the flow and returns as it had a pressurised hot water cylinder. The heating is actually on the program, but I just turned the room thermostats down. I then made sure that these automatic air vents on the coil and the heating side were off. The reason for doing that is so that it creates a vacuum, and therefore you don't have to drain down the whole system. The vacuum will be created and it will stop the water running, in theory anyway. I've said this before, but I often use a wet vac in situations like this, but for the purpose of the video, knowing not everyone has a wet vac, I'll just use my little pot to see how much water I get out the system. Crack the joints and slowly let it drain into the pot. There's always a bit of pressure there, but generally it should slow down quite quickly on a system like this. One thing I wasn't aware of was that the customer had actually turned off the radiators on the other side, which is on the lock shield side, which had actually helped slow the water down. I don't always do this or advise it because it can often cause that to leak and then you have another leak in radiator valve. If you find this video useful, if you could please like and subscribe, as it really helps the channel and helps with my time putting these videos together. Appreciate it all. I always use jointing compound. V2 Jet Lube's great stuff. I use it on the olives. It takes up any imperfections in the pipe and olive. Put it on it before just so I can quickly swap the valve. Once the pressure had stopped, I completely undo the nuts and whip the old valve off. I will always reuse the old nut and olive where possible, especially as they were pretty new anyway. It just saves extra work that doesn't really require being done. As the olive has already been compressed to the pipe, you don't need to go crazy with tightening them up. Just a little nip, job done. Back to the boiler to switch the flow and returns back on. Naturally, the pressure in the system would have dropped slightly, even with the smallest amount of water taken out of it. Check on this boiler, which is a Worcester 4000. You can go through the menu and see what the pressure is currently at. This one had dropped from 1 bar to 0.8 bar, so nothing really. I then opened up the air vents again. I bled the rad just to check, but it was still full of water as basically nothing had been taken out of the system. Then find the filling loop to top the pressure back up on the system, which was hidden down below the boiler. Topped it up to between 1 and 1.5 bar. This was left at 1.2. I then switched the heating on to test the radiator, and this is when I found out that the customer had actually shut off the lock shield valve. Luckily, no leaks from that. If only every plumbing job was like this, it'd be great. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.